Hey, what's up, guys? This is the Butter Panther live from the Panther's Den. We got 7 people in here. Sick. Actually, Nico's been sending me some graphics and stuff, so he's making some Butter Panther stuff that looks pretty cool. How's everybody doing? Everybody's good? Anybody in the chat there? We got 7 people, it looks like. I'll wait for a couple people to filter in and stuff. I was just watching. Dang, we lost 2 already. That's tough, man. That's tough. What's up, Alan? Alex. Good. Thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, I was just watching the protesting they were doing up in Long Beach or something like that. What's up, Julian? What's up, Scotty? They were just doing some protesting and stuff up on the beach in Long Beach or something. It's all good. That's within their rights, I believe. I think they should probably be a little more safe about it, though. But because the virus is real, right? I mean, it's real. It's definitely a real thing. But how we handle it is kind of what's up for question right now. I don't want to get into any of that over this. I want to just talk about jiu-jitsu. I love that you guys haven't asked me any questions about that because that kind of sucks to answer, and it's kind of a long thing to go through. Hope everybody's good, man. Hope everybody's staying safe, getting in what they can, training when they can. Thank you guys for tuning in. We had some good questions here. You know what I'm going to put out this week is I'm actually going to put out a video of 50 arm bars. And I already wrote them down, are like 50 armbar entries. So I'm gonna what's up, Cherry? Oh shit. First live with Vanessa Cherry. You haven't even asked a single question. I don't think it's because you know how to use Discord. But I'm gonna do an armbar video. I should have got my headphones. You guys can hear me okay? Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I got this new mic too, but I need something special to hook it up to the computer, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to do a 50 armbar video. And cool. Thank you, guys. I'm going to do a 50 armbar video. And then once a week, I'm going to break down one if people are like asking for it and stuff like that. So after I make the video, then I'll probably like go a little more public with the YouTube channel too and see if people like it or not. Cool. Okay, Vanessa, thank you for tuning in. Let's start with the questions. You guys feeling good this morning? It's Saturday morning. I woke up a little bit on the wrong side of the bed, but then I took our dog Cope here on a skateboard ride, and I'm feeling a lot better. So sometimes you just got to get out of the house when you're feeling a little bit shitty like that. Let's get to the questions. So as you guys know, I'm doing like I have on the Discord, I have questions here. And Sun's Out, Guns Out, Alejandro. Perfect for training. Yeah, since you guys are starting a gym over there at Daniel's house, huh? That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, where's the questions? First one's from Julian Navarez. I didn't get through all the questions that we asked because it seemed like there was going to be enough questions anyway. So the first one's from Julian Navarez. It says, question, what have you been doing during these times to keep in shape? And so pretty much I've been doing something once a day at least. Sometimes twice a day I'm doing something. And at the very least, I'm trying to go for a run. Running is something that like I do. I'll go running. I mostly like sprinting and doing really hard runs and things like that, short, hard runs. Cause sometimes I don't think I like, long distance running and stuff until I start doing it. And I think that anybody that is telling you like, or they tell me like that they don't like to run or they hate running. Cause a lot of people say that they don't like running. I think, they just haven't really given it a chance, or they just suck at it, or that they, are lazy, I think, because it's really nice going on a run. I don't know. I really enjoy it when I get into it and I put some headphones on and get into like a trance state. There's Alejandro because he's lazy. Alejandro says running sucks. And there's a lot of people with that same sentiment, dude. But I think it's pretty good, man. It's because us guys with shorter legs can't run so fast. So, but I think it's nice, dude. I enjoy running. I think it's pretty cool, man. Sometimes I don't like it, but when I get into it, it's a lot of fun. So if I didn't do anything in a day or something like that, I'll definitely go on a run. I like going late at night too. I like going like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, and putting headphones on and just going through the neighborhoods and stuff like that. I'll go out here because this is like a new neighborhood for me, and it's pretty cool. And I'll just go get lost in the neighborhood and go through and check out all the houses and different things like that. California is an interesting place as far as like houses go and things like that. So it's something, like I don't have like a cool like nature trail to run through or anything like that. And so like the housing, the way the houses differ out here and things like that. And La Mesa is a pretty cool neighborhood. So running through it is pretty fun and checking out like all the different houses. There's like a castle down the street here. There's a guy that like built his house. It looks kind of shitty actually, but he like made it look like a castle. So running's pretty cool. I gang some kettlebells and things like that from the gym. I have my steel mace that I do. So I'll do a full steel mace workout sometimes. I'll do a kettlebell workout from Trevor, my friend Trevor, at Latitude 32 Fitness. He will post once a day a body weight workout or a weighted workout. And if I'm somewhere without weights, I'll do the body weight workout too. It's actually pretty good. I've done a few of those. So if you're ever like really needing a workout, just go to his page. There's so many workouts on it. You don't have to post a steel mace workout. Dude, I just go on YouTube and look things up. I've like, typically what I do is I go on, like I write everything down when I do a workout. So I go on YouTube and I find these different exercises and I try to pair them. And I try to create like a little program and I'll write it down. You know what I mean? I'll try to pair what I'm doing 2-2, 2-2, or 3-3-2, things like that. And I'll write it down. And then I could probably show you an example, but I don't have that notebook with me. And then it forces me to do it. And I write down exactly how many times I have to do it and stuff like that. Because otherwise you're just putzing around and kind of like, I don't know, like, oh, that felt good. That was good. That was enough or something like that. I think it's important to write down what you're going to do because it really like, you'll feel pretty bad if you don't go through the whole thing that way. And if you don't have it written down, you're just kind of like, eh. Same with a run too. You know what I mean? Like some people aren't so self-motivated. You know what I mean? So say you have to put in 3 miles. What did Daniel say? I ran 3 miles in under 18 minutes. Let's see. Deadlift, squats. Yeah, we'll get to that actually. I'm going to talk about lifting in a little bit because Alejandro asked a question. 18 minutes. Let's see what you ran. 18 divided by 3. 6-minute mile? Okay, D-Money. I'd like to see your stats on that. I want to see your health report on your iPhone. You don't even have an iPhone. I don't know what you guys do with the Androids. Jiu-jitsu. I wrote down jiu-jitsu because like, yeah, the jiu-jitsu training I've been doing is very sporadic, mostly at the house here. Yeah, I was in 03. Daniel was 4 years old in 03, not 93. He was 13. And we'll get to that in a minute too. But so yeah, when Boogie was having his training camp, he was coming over and we were doing some training sometimes at Mission Gorge and stuff like that too. So I was trying to help Boogie out for his camp. And there's been a couple guys that I've been around here and there a lot at the gym or for different reasons that like we were already around each other anyway. So I was like, okay, well we should train. And so, but you know, it's not easy to find partners and pick partners and expose people and all that good shit. So there's a right way to go about it. But I've been trying to train jiu-jitsu when I can with the right people and the same people and things like that. Oh yeah. And you know, like burpees too, not like necessarily like burpees, but like in the video that I posted on Instagram the other day, I always thought burpees were for like, it was just something. I always thought burpees were super corny. I thought it was like this stupid thing that a coach made you do if you were late. And so I just was never late. So I didn't have to do burpees or something like that, you know, or I'd opt to do something other than burpees because I really hated doing burpees. I thought it was stupid and corny and like it didn't make sense to me. I thought it was just like some kind of weird punishment. But there's cool things to do with burpees. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing like more explosive work. So like you saw in the video, like a burpee to a broad jump or like different kinds of broad jumps or a burpee to box jump burpees and things like that. Or like where you have a barbell here and you do a burpee here, go over, burpee, skiers, right? Like skiers with burpees, different things like that. Good explosive work. That stuff's really fun. It's good for your cardio and it's good for explosive stuff. And you don't need a lot of room to do it. And I was thinking about, I mean, it's a little late into this month, but let me you guys think. And if you guys want to do this, put it in the Discord or something like that. But I want to do a pull-up challenge maybe. Somebody ganked my pull-up bar, but I could do pull-ups anywhere. I wanted us to write down I want to have a tally on pull-ups. I think that would be super cool to see how many pull-ups we can do. And each person can try to like hit a we don't even need to have a number or something like that, but I think it would be sick. Like, you know, I'll try to just do them throughout the day. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, there's a pull-up bar, pop, 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 bust out 10, write it down, tally, bust out 10, pop, 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 pop. And then we can tally it. We can make a group in the Discord or something like that. And see who can do the most pull-ups by the end of the month. Let me know if you guys are down, because I'll try to make a group or something like that. I think it would be pretty cool. And then that's it for that question. That's kind of like what I've been doing for working out. Scott's here. Did you develop any bad habits in your early years of training that you had to correct? And if so, what were they? So bad habits? No, definitely not. I did everything perfect. No, I'm just kidding. I did learn really well, and I learned from good instructors and good people online. So a lot of times, like, I was pretty quick to fix my bad habits, things like that. I'm pretty receptive to learning and things like that. The lie detector determined that's a lie. I mean, dude, sometimes it's hard to recognize maybe you have bad habits, you know, on your own. But I think that I really thought about this one pretty hard and tried to decide on a couple of things that I do think I could have done better or something like that. I think that I couldn't have probably changed this one, because I lead wrestle with my right leg, but I only passed to the one side. I passed to everybody's strong side. And so I probably couldn't have changed that too well, because leading with my left leg would be like a big change for me, because I lead everything on my right leg. So to then start passing with my left leg lead would be like a little bit weird, but I don't pass to both sides in a matter of changing which direction my legs go. But I do pass both ways, but I do a different set of passes to each side. So I'm not ambidextrous in it, and that's fine. You don't need to be ambidextrous anyways. I think that's a wrong thing. But what I could have done is just like what I could have done with like a Z guard too, is I could have learned to play on the wrong side. You know, if you watch Craig Jones, I think one of the best reasons he's so successful with his Z guard is because he pulls Z guard into his weak side, or everybody's weak side passing, and he forces you onto that side. And that's a really interesting concept. And it's not necessarily a bad habit to do things on your strong side. Like, that's why I don't think it's necessarily a bad habit. But I do think that that is something that I could have done early on, that now it's a little bit hard for me to switch. But if some of you guys were interested in doing something like that, overhauling your game a little bit, start playing on your weak side, and you might throw people off and stuff like that a little bit more often. It definitely sucks for me, like trying to pass against somebody that is sitting on their weak side. You have to kind of figure out some new things and stuff like that. One bad habit that I definitely developed that I realized was I got into a habit of lazy wrestling and bad wrestling and things like that. And that was mostly because I think I didn't have to wrestle a whole lot with people, and when I did wrestle with people, they weren't like really good at wrestling. So I got away with a lot in my wrestling, a lot of stupid things, and I got really lazy and did like kind of Now I don't shoot nearly as much as I used to because I'm not nearly as like used to doing it and things like that. And I think it was just because I got a little lazy with the wrestling because I could. So that was kind of a habit that I fell into that I've been trying to like slowly change out of, so that like when I do get with guys that can wrestle really well, it's working better, right? And I also, unfortunately, like it feels a little bit better now, but I had a pretty bad injury to my forearm, in like a straight arm lock or something like that in a competition when I was a brown belt, something with some nerves or something like that. And so I didn't even Kimura for like a year or two, and Kimura was like my best technique, and that's when I got into taking the back actually. So it was pretty cool, but it also prevented me from doing certain things on my left side with my Anna. So I haven't been until recently. I haven't been very good with heel hooking my breaking mechanics on my one side for heel hooks and for straight ankle locks and things like that that require like some pressure on the forearm aren't as good on one side. But I'm trying to fix that habit right now. I'm doing a lot of drilling on that side and things like that now that it feels better. So hopefully I'll be a lot more ambidextrous with those in the future. So that's about all I wrote down for the bad habits, except for cardio. I did write that down because one of the big things that I was always very scrambly and aggressive grappler, and I moved a lot and was scrambly, this, that, and the other thing. And I never did any extra cardio, really, not for a while. And I would go into tournaments and pour everything out into these matches and things like that, and I would be dead exhausted. Luckily, I was young and in pretty decent shape, so I could get away with it. But when I realized what kind of style that I had in jiu-jitsu, that it required a good amount of cardio for my style. You know what I mean? I recognized pretty early on, and some of you guys could recognize that too. Like I'm trying to think of like who's in here, but some of your styles require more cardio than other people's styles. You know what I mean? The way that you scramble, the way that you grapple, and the way that you aggressive, like how aggressive you are and things like that, your style requires more cardio. And when I recognized that, I wanted it to be a weapon instead of like a detriment to me. And so that's when I really upped my cardio game, and that made a big difference. So that was kind of a habit that I fixed, was not doing any extra cardio. And same with lifting too. I think like sometimes, and we'll get into this later too, but like I've gotten like a lot bigger and lifted, and didn't stretch and work on mobility and things like that. And I started getting hurt more, and I started to get a little stiff. So that was like a habit I had to like recognize that like, yeah, I might be getting bigger and stronger, but I'm not grappling any better. I'm grappling worse and I'm getting hurt more. So all you guys that like make jokes about stretching and stuff like that, like if you want to get good at jiu-jitsu, you should listen to me and things like that. Like you guys should be stretching, you guys should be doing mobility things and stuff like that, because it's really important, especially as you get older. So that's all I wrote down for bad habits, fixing bad habits and stuff like that. Maybe you guys can tell me if you guys think I got some bad habits. I know I probably do I definitely do in other areas of my life. But as far as jiu-jitsu, that's one thing I've always like locked down pretty well, was my habits. One thing I understood pretty well my whole life was grappling. Everything else, I have a lot of bad habits in. Josue is the next question. Josue said, from your time in wrestling, do you have any funny stories or memories that stick out the most? Making the team, weight cutting, a bad loss, your first gold medal, etc. Jeez. I mean, really, dude, I could go into so many different stories. I didn't even think about this one very long last night because there's so many, and I could like just off the top of my head pull a few. But there's some that go really deep too, and there's a lot of other ones. And I could go on just the questions that he asked me. I wrote down, there's a couple funny ones here. I wrote down first I wrote down New Jersey dad. So, and I think I maybe have told this story in class before. I'm not sure or not. But when I was a sophomore in high school, we went to a tournament in Jersey. And it was at like not like the best like neighborhood in Jersey, and it was this big old high school. And we used to go every weekend to Jersey or Pennsylvania, different spots for tournaments. And I wrestled this black kid, Jarrell. And he beat me by like, it was a close match. He was very athletic, and he beat me by maybe like a point or two. And that was the only match I lost at that tournament. And it was like one of the few guys that beat me in a while, actually. And my dad used to take me to all the tournaments. And he talked with the guy who was Jarrell's uncle. His name was Uncle Vernon. And Uncle Vern was in charge of this wrestling club called the Orchard in South Jersey, like in Little Egg Harbor Township in Jersey, which is right by Atlantic City. And Atlantic City is like a little ghetto. But anyways, we they made like a little friendship, I guess, or he told my dad, like, yeah, send your boy up, blah blah blah, this, that, and the other thing. And it was summertime, so like within a couple of weeks, I can't remember how it came about, but my dad had been talking to Vern, and so he just drove me up there. He met this guy one time at a wrestling tournament and drove me up to this guy Jarrell's house. And I never saw Vern the whole time I was up there. My dad drops me off. I don't know if he talked to their parents or not, but he just dropped me off at this guy's house. And it was up in Little Harbor Township, outside Atlantic City. And the house was like, it was pretty big. And there was like the whole backyard was a junkyard, like with just filled with stuff, like 2 stories high, like parts and all sorts of crap. And yeah, I mean, my memory from this time is a little blurry, but it was a weird experience. We never once went to a wrestling club. I was there for like a week and a half. We never once went to the Orchard Wrestling Club. I still wonder if it even exists. We went fishing a lot, and we wrestled in the front yard with him and his older brothers quite a few times in the grass. And yeah, I was just in New Jersey for a week and a half with this guy I was supposed to be wrestling with, and we never even really wrestled. And it was a strange experience. The kid, I don't think he ever slept. I would wake up at like 6 or 7 a.m. and he'd already be out like tinkering with things in the junkyard and building like dirt bikes out of old parts and stuff like that. And then he would just disappear and stuff like that. And I'd be at his house all day, and I didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? So I talked to his brothers. His brother would be like, yeah, let's wrestle. And we go out to the front yard and I'd wrestle one of his brothers. I don't think his parents, I don't even remember if his parents lived there or not. I don't even remember meeting. I remember meeting maybe his dad one time or something like that. My memory's super foggy about it, but it was a really interesting experience, and it was pretty funny that my dad just dropped me off there. Anyways, that's one thing that sticks out. And then, so I remember I told you guys about a guy named Sailor. Sailor was I forget his first name right now. Joe Sailor. Joe Sailor was the one who taught me the slide by. Well, he had a son called Luke Sailor, and Luke Sailor was in my grade, and I'd known him for a long time. And they were a big wrestling family, and sometimes, like, I think Luke didn't want to wrestle. Actually, I knew for a fact Luke didn't want to wrestle a lot of times. And Andy Bokinski was one of the best wrestlers that I knew growing up from my high school. Andy Bokinski was a really, really good wrestler. He was a Mormon, and his 2 other brothers were all Mormon, and they were really, really good wrestlers, him and all his brothers. And Andy was the oldest brother. And these 2, I don't know if they actually hated wrestling, but they sure like talked about hating wrestling a lot, and tried to always find like different ways to get out of it, and skipping practice and doing all these things and stuff like that, which is funny because, like, yeah, they were like, Andy was really, really good at wrestling. But I do remember, and again, my memory is foggy again, but one time before wrestling season, Luke really didn't want to wrestle so bad that he was having Andy run over his foot to break it so that he didn't have to wrestle that season. And I don't know if he actually, I'm being 100% honest when I don't remember, I don't think he broke his foot, but he might have definitely hurt it pretty bad running over it. and that was his excuse to get out of wrestling. I don't think it worked. I can't remember, but that's a real thing that happened too. Was watching Luke get his foot run over by Andy or one of the guys on the team. But those two were funny, man. They were always trying to find a way to get out of wrestling. And then there's a guy I wrote down. I'm not gonna say his name because he's actually he's one of the best wrestlers to ever that I ever knew growing up, and was like one of the top recruited wrestlers out of Delaware, and just in general. I think he was a #1 recruit in the college his freshman year or something like that. Anyways, we went on a trip one time, and somebody had shaved their legs with a razor, and they had ringworm on their leg. And so the kid, the really good wrestler, he used to shave his head before every tournament, bald. And he used the same razor that somebody, and I know who had the ringworm too. So somebody had the ringworm, and he shaved his head with the same razor. And so, like, within a couple of days, he just had ringworms all over his bald head, and he couldn't wrestle anymore. It was literally all over his head, and he couldn't wrestle because he had to get skin checks and stuff, you know. Yeah, I could go on. I didn't write any more down because it would take up a lot of time, and I don't know how interesting that is to you guys or not. I know for some of the wrestlers and stuff like that, it's fun stories, but I didn't write any more down. We'll move on from that. That's a good fun question though. The Darkness Nieli said, question: does BPN Big Papa Nasty get a shout out in the next video for his birthday? Yeah, it was Daniel's birthday a week ago. Happy birthday, Daniel. I think he turned 30. Daniel's doing pretty well for himself, man. And at 30 years old, and I saw he just got some mats at his house. He has a cool setup. There is like a video of us rolling that's like on a GoPro somewhere that I was trying to find, and I think I did find it, that I was going to try to like break down or make a joke on it or something like that. I think I found it, but I just haven't had a chance yet. I was going to do that for his birthday, but I ran out of time, so maybe you'll still get that video, Daniel. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think, it's the one where I did like I held his mouth like that. It's because Daniel likes to get a little mouthy sometimes. But I love him, man. He's a really tremendous student, man, and a solid dude. And when he's paying attention and he's focused, he's one of the best guys we have for the team, man, for sure. But he's also not always focused. Not focused a lot of the time, but when he is focused, man, he's on it, and he's a great addition to the team, man. So happy birthday, Daniel. Appreciate having you a lot, man. I know a lot of the guys do as well. EBI overtime question. When you're on your back, this is from Alan of the Kings. When you're on your back, when you're on the back, say for example in EBI overtime, and you have a body triangle, but your opponent has your leg trapped, would you say you're still in an advantageous position until you can clear the leg from the opponent while still working on the top half? So he's just asking about when you have a body triangle wrapped around their waist, right? Let me stand up here. When you have a body triangle wrapped around the waist, like pretend this is my triangle with the legs, and the one is stuck in between the legs right here like this, boom, and hooked. Okay, so people use this really well as a control position, and some people like it a lot. I think it's great. And if we're talking EBI overtime, you're gonna get a ton of ride time out of it because they're not escaping. As long as they have that hooked on the inside right there, then they're not getting any closer to. I wish I could show you guys my big Samoan roommate. He's always doing some funny workouts outside. It's locked in between the legs, so he cannot escape his hips at any point. So he can only work on the upper body. And then so you're working on the upper body as well. So it's not a great tactic for a person to escape. It's a good tactic to stall. And so for ride time, it's great. And then from there, when you're working on the upper body, there's tons of ways with a body triangle to choke a guy, because you don't have to worry about quite as much for them to turn really fast into you or something like that. So, you can do this whole motion of switching arms under. That works really well. And some people get really, really good at that. I've seen people get really, really good at that. That's actually never been one of my strengths. For a brief moment, I got pretty good at switching hands through like that. But some people are really good at that. You can choke down or like do a D7 really well with the body triangle locked in between, and just brutalize somebody. That down choke. D7 is what we call it, and just punching for 5-0s and stuff. The problem is that when you have they have the leg trapped right there, you cannot trap arms, right? So there's still definitely ways to choke a guy right there and choke over the chin and things like that. You can kind of brutalize a guy and be a little rough to him because they are just stalling. You know what I mean? And but yeah, it sucks when you can't trap the arm. So it's definitely a great spot. Still, yeah. Jim Trotter asked a question. I'm not sure if Jim's in here or not. Oh yeah, I think he just doesn't have a YouTube channel. What's the biggest mistake you've seen for beginners when grappling? Secondly, and maybe this is a dumb question, but what's more important for a beginner? Learning how to attack or learning how to defend against things? Thanks. How to attack. So Jim's asking a question about like the biggest mistakes beginners make. And in the last video, the last live stream, I just did a long section on like a really long section on mistakes that beginners make. You could go back and watch that. I didn't even think in my head about how to simplify that for you guys. So I'm just going to forward you to the last video on that one. And the second part of the question that he asked was what's more important about attacking or being attacked. And I would say, like, most people say, like, when you come into jiu-jitsu, like, just being able to defend within the first like 6 months or so, like, and to a year is being able to defend is like a huge bonus. It's like that's what your number one goal should be, is like being able to defend people's attacks, as far as like getting submitted and not getting submitted, and getting your legs back into the equation, figuring out how to use your body in those ways so that like you can get to a guard and things like that, and protect yourself. So I would say, yeah, you're gonna be forced to focus on defense a lot more in the beginning. But it's about finding balance to that. A lot of the guys on the team will tell you that, like, I am spending a little bit too much time probably just on offense. And my response to that is that, like, the best defense a lot of times is a good offense. I know that, like, when I'm strictly defending heel hooks, I get caught a lot more than when I'm attacking heel hooks. All right. And that's because, as long as somebody has to defend you going against their leg, then they're most likely not attacking your leg anymore. Does that make sense? So it's good to be offensive in order to and a mindset happens when you're too defensive. I do need to, and I do try to, I force myself to teach these good defensive tactics for escaping mount, escaping side control, and different things like that. But man, I've seen too many people focus purely on defense and defensive tactics and secondary defenses and things like that. And it comes back to bite them in the ass. I want students that are going out on their shield always. That's like my number one goal, is to have a really strong team that nobody wants to fuck with, man. Like, the type of guys, like, you go in there and they're going to give you fucking hell all the time. And that's how I want to be. And that's how I want my students to be, for the most part, is like the type of team that, like, man, fuck, I'm going to be playing defense today. You know what I mean? I'm the good guy that's going to have to be playing defense against these guys, because they're going to be coming for my neck all the time, and they're going to be attacking. But yeah, it's going to be important as well to learn those defenses and stuff. But I see people get caught up all the way to purple belt, and they're still in a defense mode. Every movement that they make is to defend something that's happening to them instead of returning attacks and stuff like that. Sorry, my sister's calling me on FaceTime. So that's how I feel about that. As far as defense, it's important, and especially in the beginning, it's important. But you need to find balance. But in the beginning, yeah, focus on defense, man. You're not gonna know that many attacks to begin with, so you're gonna have to learn how to defend. But don't get caught up in it, man. It's a syndrome, and I've seen it happen. All right, next question. I think it's from Alex. Yeah, Alejandro. We're losing guys. We lost 3 guys. Alejandro, what do you think of heavyweight training like squats, deadlifts, bench press, etc.? Or do you think CrossFit kind of workouts are more beneficial when it comes to grappling? He put CrossFit in parentheses. I don't know what he means by CrossFit. I think I know what he means. I don't think he means actual CrossFit, because CrossFit is not a good idea, man. CrossFit is there's some good movements in CrossFit and things like that, but doing actual CrossFit is can be pretty detrimental to your health. Anyways, a person like, first of all, like Trevor, I would forward most of these fitness questions to somebody like Trevor, because I'm not an expert on this, and I really don't like talking about things that I'm not an expert on. That's why you haven't heard me commenting a whole lot on like coronavirus and COVID-19 and all this stuff, because I'm not an expert, and I don't like that guys that are good in one area portray their opinions and think they're an expert in everything. You know what I mean? But moving on from that, like that, it's the same with lifting. You know what I mean? Like I have an opinion and I know like some stuff, but I'm not an expert, so I don't like speaking on it. And ideally, I'd like to forward you to someone about like what they would say about it. But I'll tell you about me personally and some things with me. Yeah, HIIT training. But I know what you want to think in your personal opinion. Yeah, I hear you. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna hit you. Okay. So first of all, depends on what your goals are, is what I wrote down. You know what I mean? I wrote down look good, be good at jiu-jitsu, be functional, get huge. What kind of strength do you want as well? So this is something that I've noticed. Okay, this is something that probably like any fitness trainer, because they're not necessarily jiu-jitsu guys to the extent that I am. One thing that I've noticed is what kind of strength do you want to have, because you want to play into your game and your strengths, right? And so this is a really cool thing that I've kind of mapped out here, is how 2 people lift in jiu-jitsu that you guys probably know, and how they do jiu-jitsu as well, those 2 people, right? So first we're going to look at Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan does a lot of isometric. He does like, he isolates muscle groups and does a lot of cable and machines and different things like that, as far as what I've seen, you know what I mean? And isometric holds as well, and in different positions on those like base bars and stuff like that. And look at his jiu-jitsu game. His jiu-jitsu game is not very explosive, but he holds very strong in isometric positions, right? And the counter to that is a person like Andre Galvao. And if you watch his Instagram, the type of lifting that he's doing is like explosive, low rep. Like Gordon's doing a little more high volume stuff, whereas a guy like Andre Galvao is doing like more low rep, explosive bench pressing and deadlifts and squats and things like that, and then plyometrics to go with it, where he's jumping up on things and stuff like that. And then look at his jiu-jitsu. It's some of the most explosive jiu-jitsu there is, right? And you look at their games and they're very different. And Andre's just playing into his strengths. You know, he's already very explosive, and his game relies on explosive movement, side to side, lateral movement, passing, shots. Especially now, it's a lot more wrestling and stuff like that. So Andre needs to play into his strengths, so he does more explosive work. Whereas Gordon isn't very explosive and traditionally athletic, I guess you could say. And he plays more into his strengths. Like he knows each position that he's going to, like almost like mathematically mapped, like systematically, like through a tree. And he just needs to know that when he gets there, he's strong enough to hold that position in the in between parts. And so he needs to have good isometric strength. And so that's what he focuses on. For me personally, flexibility was always one of my biggest assets in wrestling and in jiu-jitsu. So when I have went on like goals of bulking and getting bigger and stuff like that, I have done that. I've eaten like fucking crazy all day long, and put on a ton of weight and lifted really heavy with a lot of volume, a lot of hypertrophy and things like that, and gotten a lot bigger. And then my jiu-jitsu suffered. And I look at guys like that I'm similar to, and I try to like map myself in terms of them. And maybe like a guy like Josh Hinger, who's a little bit bigger than me, somewhat similar style, but I have a little bit more mobility than him and a little bit more range in what I do. Whereas he's stronger and he's bigger, but I also think he's a little bit stiffer. I don't think he's going to see this, but that's my boy. No hard feelings. He's an incredible grappler. We've trained together quite a bit. He's really fucking good. But as far as like, I don't want to be any stiffer. You know what I mean? I wouldn't. It's not. I could change my game and maybe in like a later stage of my life, like rely a little bit less on flexibility. But I'm still 30. You know what I mean? I still have a lot of mobility to the way that I move and things like that. So I want to keep my flexibility. What I'd probably focus on personally, let me see what else I wrote down here. If I had my personal program for working out, what I'd probably do is like a lot of bodyweight stuff, mobility, plyometrics, things like that. The ideal workout for me. And I think you need both, right? Like I think like doing deadlifts and doing squats and things like that is really good, but so is isolation exercises. Like I think finding balance is important with it. Guys will tell you, like squats are useless, and there's so much information, and so many guys have so many opinions when it comes to fitness. The same, like it's like politics, it's ridiculous. Everybody has a certain narrative that they're trying to push, and whatever they're trying to sell you is what they're going to tell you is right. You know what I mean? So you have to think about more just your personal, like you think about, first of all, if somebody's telling you something, like what they're trying to sell you. Second of all, you need to think about what you need, and like what I need is balance. I don't need to go one way or the other. Squats, people will tell you squats are a useless movement, especially in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? When are you ever standing in a squatted position and doing stuff like that? But it's a great workout, and you're going to get a lot stronger from it. They'll tell you that you need to be doing only single leg exercises like RDLs and things like that. Well, you should do those too. You know what I mean? Like you should be doing those things. I think you should be doing both. And Trevor would probably tell you something similar, right? I talk with Trevor quite a bit about this kind of stuff. If I have my ideal schedule, what I kind of wrote down was, and then this is for me personally, I would do 2 days at my physical therapist office where I'm there for 2 hours. She's giving me like a lot of plyometric type of things, a lot of interesting, like she will give me the type of workouts that strengthen a lot of these smaller helper muscles and things like that. Not necessarily the big groupings of muscles and things that help with balance and all that stuff, because I want to be the type of guy that's a lot stronger than he looks. You know what I mean? I want to be that guy that like, he looks pretty strong, like whatever, but then they grab onto you, like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? Like, where does he, like, how is he that strong? It doesn't make sense, because there is people like that, you know what I mean? And then there's people that look really, really strong, but they're just soft. They're soft. And I don't know what that's about. They have like show muscles, you know what I mean? And that's like, I don't know what that is. That's indicative of a lot of like hypertrophy and not a whole lot of function to their working out. So 2 days at like a PT office with me, and that's like doing plyometric stuff. That's doing like single leg stuff, balance stuff on the Bosu ball, all that good stuff that you kind of see like from like functional patterns guys and stuff like that on Instagram. And then 2 days with 2 days with Trevor. And that would be a little bit more closely like fitted with strength and conditioning, right? We'd be doing different kinds of squats and different kinds of deadlifts, and he mixes in that kind of stuff that my PT would do as well, but his is a little more heavy on the strength and conditioning side. And then and then a day of yoga or something like that. You know, I mean, obviously you want to do like consistency on these things. Like, so, you know, how you warm up and stuff like that should all include your stretching and mobility stuff. But a good solid hour of yoga is really, really good, I think, for most individuals that are a little more stiff, like me, and doing like workouts that make you sore all the time. So that would be a good ideal week for me, I think. As far as like, if I wanted to get bigger, like, you know, I would get bigger, you know, I would eat a ton and I would do those kinds of lifts, like with a lot of volume for the hypertrophy and, all the kinds of, like, I get on a program, right? I followed a couple different programs. So I could probably pull them up on my phone. Because they come in like audio book or not audio book, like on your iBooks or whatever. And you have them laid out and they're just full programs that these guys write out. And I followed a couple of them before and you know, ate a lot, did all the right stuff and ate the creatine and did all that stuff. I actually haven't taken creatine in a long time, but that'll get you bigger. But I don't know if it's going to make you that much better jiu-jitsu. It's going to make you stronger. And then from there, you know, then you need to get your mobility back and things like that. And you're going to get a little bit smaller, but you're going to be a lot more functional and your jiu-jitsu is going to be a lot better. So depends on what your goals are. And I think a lot of you guys, your goal is jiu-jitsu. So I would think about how to be well-rounded and well-balanced. Dudes, that's all the questions that I answered today. We're 15 minutes short of an hour. Yeah, I haven't actually even read the last 3 questions, so I don't want to wing it on those. I'll save them for the next week's Q&A. 45 minutes is good anyways, because this is kind of how long I wanted to make these anyways. An hour is a little bit too long. You guys got any questions for me? Questions about the gym? Anything like that? Before we wrap this up? Evan Tucker, you got a pick on Ferguson versus Gaethje? Yeah, Ferguson. Kidding me? First of all, like, yeah, Ferguson's my boy. He's 10th planet. I love his style. I love everything about him. Gaethje, I actually I don't know why. I've never been a huge fan of Gaethje. He's all right. He's cool because he does like the whole stand and bang thing and all that stuff. He's fun to watch, I guess, but I don't think he's anywhere on the same level as Ferguson, man. I think Ferguson's a fucking freak. What do you think about people saying for big guys not to use strength, but smaller guys are still able to use their agility and rolls? Interesting question, Daniel. I think that big guys should definitely use their strength. 110%. And are you talking about a big guy versus a little guy? I just think that you should be using your strength to better your technique. You know what I mean? I think that, like, and people should be using their agility to better their technique as well. Does that make sense? Like, there's a big difference between using your strength to grab onto somebody's head, because I've literally had brown belts grab onto my head like this to pass my guard, just squeezing my head while they try to pass my guard. And fuck no, I'm not going to let you pass my guard because you squeezed my head. That's not technique, man. Like, I'm going to fuck you up when I get out of this too, as soon as I get my fucking head out of your stupid grip. So use your strength to do technique. You know what I mean? Don't just grab my head, but if you get an underhook in the head, yeah, put the pressure on, man. Use it correct. You know what I mean? Same with the agility thing. Yeah, like, you should use that to your advantage. Like, when you are on bottom and you go for a freaking or you're on top and you're passing and you're very agile and fast and things like that, use it to have a good, fast, strong knee slice or something like that. And don't just use it to flip over top of a guy over and over again until like hopefully you land it one time, because people are going to get hurt, and that's just kind of stupid. Nobody's learning from that. Nobody learns from that. If you're, I mean, maybe it's a good thing to have and see every once in a while in the gym, right? But as far as like really upping your technique and getting used to what you're going to see most of the time, it's not that great, right? So you should be using your strength and you should be using your agility if you're a smaller guy, but I think it should be just to better your technique. Cejudo versus Cruz. I didn't even know that was a match. I think Cejudo's kind of on his upswing right now, and looking a little bit better. But I'm a huge Dominic Cruz fan. I love guys like him, guys that just only speak the facts. He reminds me, he's like the jiu-jitsu version of, the MMA version of like a guy like Ben Shapiro or something like that, who, I mean, Ben Shapiro is a very polarizing figure, and I don't even actually agree with him on a lot of things. But what he does is he states a lot of facts. You know what I mean? He doesn't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna rip this guy apart. I'm gonna do this," or like some kind of personal attack or something weird about their personal life or something like that. Dominic Cruz will literally just break down why he's better than that person and where they're gonna slip up and where he's gonna beat them and things like that. And I like that about him, man. He's very analytical. And I really like his style that he kind of has developed for himself as well. So I like Cruz a lot more as a competitor, but I think probably Cejudo wins that one. But man, I don't keep up with flyweight like I used to. Or is it bantamweight now? Is it bantamweight or flyweight? It's bantamweight, right? I don't think so. I don't think Cruz is a flyweight. Navarez has the jiu-jitsu area changed as well as the rest of the gym. Yeah, it is bantamweight. Okay. Has the jiu-jitsu area changed as well as the rest of the gym? No, not really. We did some aesthetic things, but nothing has moved because that wall is not moving, right? The wall has to stay in place for right now. So the amount of mat space, all that stuff's about the same. Just aesthetically, it looks a little different, a little cleaner. And some things are a little moved around and stuff like that. We're missing a couple mirrors, but most of the big arrangement changes are in the front half of the gym. When is the Cruz versus Cejudo match? When is that? It's not on the Gaethje Ferguson card, right? Or oh, they're doing like 3 UFC events in a row, aren't they? That's next weekend? May 9th. Shit. Oh, that's sick. That's cool, man. Same card. Dope. All right. Well, yeah. That's it for me, you guys. You guys got anything else? Appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Appreciate the Vatos turning in there. Yeah, Cejudo was supposed to fight Jose Aldo, but got stuck in Brazil. Oh, and Dom Cruz stepped in. That's kind of unlike him, man. That's sick. I like that match way more, dude. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jose, as kind of likes to say, is a fun fighter, man. I've always liked him a lot, but I like Cruz versus Cejudo, man. That's freaking sick. I can't remember if they fought before or not. Co-main, May 9th. Cool. That's sick, man. I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys. I hope you have a good Saturday, man. Well, like I said, when I go live with that armbar video, man, if I can get you guys' help and you guys can post it up and get some people, get some eyes on it and stuff like that, that'd be cool, man. We can get some subscribers and get this YouTube channel kind of thing popping. It's just for fun, man. I'm not going to make any money on this or anything like that, but got a little extra time and like learning the stuff and putting videos together and things like that. So I wrote a full list of 50 arm bars, like I said, and I want to do that. And then we'll take it from there. I just have to be kind of consistent about it. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, man. Hopefully it was good, beneficial. Hopefully you guys can keep putting some questions in the Q&A. about whatever. You know what I mean? About whatever. That's it, guys. Butter Panther tuning out. Os.